Platform. In the context of StrataQuest, the word platform is a concept, an illustrative term used to refer to the stability of a person's mental and spiritual state. Someone under severe stress or trauma can be seen as being off-platform, whereas a person of good mental health and function, creating positive effects for self and others, with good ethics level and stabilising presence for others, and surrounded by people of good repute and positive attitude, would be considered well-platformed. It can be thought of as a scale running from completely deplatformed at the bottom to firm and stable, being very difficult to dislodge at the top. Being completely off-platform would include such issues as mental instability, compulsive criminality, being a liability to all around, having either no possessions or ones in bad repair, low or zero ethics level, untrustworthy, tendency to betray, inverted truth level, highly judgmental, critical of all except self, and living in a fantasy world with little recognition of or ability to survive in the current environment. Everyone exists somewhere on the scale, usually at a far lower level than they permit themselves to believe. As the general human truth level is distressingly low, people tend to shopfront themselves as being much higher on the scale than they really are. This we refer to as the get real syndrome, and it's a difficult thing for anyone to confront when they eventually come up high enough to accurately perceive just how low they really are. Well, I guess that's one of the prices of progress. It's interesting to observe that many folk who shopfront themselves as being the highest on the scale are often those who, under the tinsel wrapping, are the most severely off-platform. Note your average politician and quite a number of priests, clerics, salesmen and con artists. Witness the mafia hitman, who presents a false platform of honour, respect and family loyalty, and so on, but actually inhabits a real platform of domination, enforcement, compulsive control and even murder. Or the terrorist, who disguises his real position under justifications of holy religion and righteous crusade to excuse his depredations of destruction. Or the New Age philosopher religionist false fronting with a pile of borrowed or stolen techno-jargon, sometimes even convinced by their own illusions, but actually inhabiting a platform of hypocrisy, deceit, pretended knowledge, control status, and money scam. Those who seldom need to promote themselves are often far more platformed, being stable enough to have little reason to present themselves as anything other than what they really are. Many people are not even on their own platform, having substituted or shopfronted it for someone else's or for some mythical construct that is more to do with fantasy land than the real world, this being far more common than generally suspected. For such a person, it is a red letter day indeed when they dig out enough to discard the substitute and begin to inhabit their own foundations. No matter how low a platform, and it can be pretty damn low at times, a person can only move from theirs and no other. Substitutes can't do, nor can an assumed or asserted personality or any fantasy-induced surrogate. Only from where a person is based can they begin the movements need to step out, sometimes onto a bleak and sterile landscape. As an example, the person coming from ignorance, misinformation and superstition can only begin the way out on acknowledging, at least in some part, where they are and then stepping from there. No amount of pretended knowledge or falsified shopfront will be effective, as it is not theirs to start from in the first place. As each platform is progressively achieved, one finds they are to some degree occupying a new space with a new set of parameters to contend with. This may take a while to settle down, as some of the old paradigms don't fit anymore, whilst at other times the new location is a homecoming, and fits like an old and familiar garment. Consider the analogy of a person using stepping stones to cross a river. Each stone would be their platform of the moment. Crossing from one to the next can sometimes be a hazardous business, not always comfortable. At other times, several steps can be taken with pleasurable ease. Some stones are firmly anchored, whilst others are unstable and tilting. Some may even be underwater, dimly seen, and others are boulders that have to be clambered over and surmounted. But through it all, a person finds they're proceeding regardless, crossing their turbulent stream in their own good time, sometimes getting wet, other times in leaps and bounds. One cannot use another's stones, nor can one step from a position they do not in fact occupy. There is sometimes a long wait between movements, years at times, or one may move a lifetime in the space of a week. Our own platform is a variable thing. It gets knocked around by the vicissitudes of life, varying from high to low, depending on what we have to contend with from moment to moment. But running through the highs and lows, there is a mean average called the critical line, which we revert to as our most generally stable point. We can be knocked off the critical line by all sorts of things, but revert back to it when the pressure's off. This critical line may be high or low depending on the person, and is the main thing that concerns us, rather than the changing array of ups and downs that we will inhabit on the way. The process of raising our critical line occurs through several stages. 1. Information, that is data flow in education. Data has to be correct and valid, otherwise it is only misinformation. Without correct information, one has nothing to work with and no guidelines to refer to when things turn to custard. 2. Methodology. There have to be technical methods that work over a broad spectrum of requirements. Correct and competent principles are needed, otherwise people have to work it all out for themselves from ground zero. Not a pretty thought. 3. Application, without which the previous two have no point in existing. Application can extend the whole range from self-application through to assisting others, groups, and ultimately mankind and the animal kingdom. But that's a long way off yet. Let's concern ourselves with where it really matters, to wit ourselves first. 4. Personal intention, or if you wish, interest. Without this, there is no point in proceeding, as it will fizzle out at an early stage before even properly begun. Lacking interest, one wouldn't even be bothered to give sufficient attention to number 1. With these in place, the stage is set for progress. And if it interests you to do so, the sooner we get on with it, the better. What's being offered here is a journey into the reinhabitation and rehabilitation of your own spiritual heritage so long denied. It may take a bit of walking yet, but the process of homecoming may at long last begin. And you may find that this is a road that suits your journey of recovery at this stage of your spiritual reawakening.